So the FM23 beta is out and we have taken charge of Cúcuta Deportivo in Colombia because of a few reasons. The first of which is because of the fact in two of our youth academy chances in FM22, two Colombians managed to be in the Ballon d'Or Awards, and they're both pretty good players. The second of which is the club itself. Cúcuta Deportivo were actually disaffiliated from the top flight of Colombian football in 2020 because they were starting the process of the liquidation of the club and had failed to meet the commitments to its creditors. The decision, as well as the suspension of the club's sporting license, which had been upheld by the Ministry of Sports, forced the club to forfeit its final two matches of the season against América de Cali and Atlético Nacional, as well as the Copa Colombia match against Deportes Tolima, and it meant that they finished the first stage of the season in last place, which prompted the Dinamo to exclude the club from the following stages of the competition. And eventually, on the 25th of November 2020, the Daimaya General Assembly voted to disaffiliate the club from its entity. Having been disaffiliated from the Daimaya, Cúcuta Deportivo were unable to take part in professional competitions during the 2021 season and only played friendlies against regional amateur teams. However, in 2022, they were allowed back in to the Dinamo and were then reinstated halfway through this season into the second tier. So that's why I want to take charge of this club. But it's just interesting to see just how far a club can go and fall and then come back in. Now, in real life, they didn't play the first part of the season and they only played the second half of the season. But in the game, they were able to play both halves of the season. So we're going to try our damnedest to do well. And if we look at the facilities, we've got a 40,000-seater stadium, and average training facilities, average academy coaching, and average youth recruitment, as well as adequate youth facilities. So there's that going for us. We are expected to win the second division in our first season, which is a bit ambitious, I just realised here and now. But we're not allowed to sign anyone over the age of 30. We're expected to sign players under the age of 23 for the first team. And if we look at the supporters profile update, which is the first time I've ever seen this, and it's really interesting. They are expecting us to win the division as well, which I'm not sure if it's the club, if it's the board or the supporters want them both at the same time. We're expected to be competitive against Atlético Bucaramanga every time we take them on. But yes, they also want to make a stride on and off the pitch. We got a hardcore 13%, the core fans of 39%, the family bases of 24%. 9% are fair weather. I don't know what this means. What's this mean? Fair weather supporters, especially impatient for success. Okay, this is actually interesting. And we've got 15% of casual fans. So let's look at this. The hardcore are the most loyal and passionate section of the fan base. Core represent the average football fan. Family orientated, happen to be temperament and patient, which love that. The fair weather are the impatient ones. So that's interesting. While the casual ones are just less passionate and loyal than average fan, which is fine. We have 211,000 followers on social media and 14,000 supporters have got season ticket holders. There's no waiting list because, you know, we've got 40,000 seats in the stadium, which should be fine. But there are only 2 out of 5 for the supporter influence on the board, which is interesting to say the least. But yes, the fact that there's not much to talk about apart from the fact we're expected to win the second division is interesting. So we're going to accept this. And now we're going to talk about the players, and I have discovered something while I was looking through this before we even started the video, and that's really, really concerning. We have got 16 players who have a clause, a sell-on clause, which will see 100% of the transfer fee go to the players. And yes, it is literally for 16 different players, and all of them have different variety of qualities, some of them of which are worth over 500,000, others are not worth that much. But it's interesting to say the least. There's this one guy who has the option to be purchased for 425,000 of the end of his loan deal. I'm going to be honest, not sure if I will, but he has some decent ability. So let's actually look at the players in question, because we've actually made a load of transfers and they're all on freeze, which really makes the fact that we brought them in interesting. And I feel like some of the players that we've given these clauses to literally just signed for us this season. So no idea what's going on with that. But okay, that's a problem. But what I'm going to do formation-wise is this. And you're going to recognize it if you watched me last year. because it's literally the same tactic. I've just tinkered a few things. There are some different things here in the press, and there's actually more, which we can't really do much about. The press and trap is inside and offside, so it's a different name for that. Defensive lines, step up more. I feel like it's asking the presser to typically high up the pitch, so I might need to push this on, but I don't know. I'm going to have to work on this and figure out what on earth that is about, but I feel like this is to step up more and to give less time. But again, it's one of those things, I need to figure this out for myself and see where it goes from here, but this is what we're going to keep the same, and we are going to make sure that this is the same as well. I feel like this team's good because of one simple reason. We are expected to finish in second place, despite the fact we are a new team. So, because we literally got given access back to the team again, we know we can do more and more. But it's interesting to know that we do have some players that are in the Media Dream 11, and we have the two best players in the division. So, admittedly, one of them's injured, and it's not this guy, but yeah, he's a good striker, very good advance forward. The other guy is the injured person, I think. Yes, damaged critical ligament for 6 to 7 months. We do have a big gap before the first game of the season happens, though. And that's not until the 1st of January. Oh, sorry, the 22nd of January. So we've got a whole month before we go and do anything else. But we do have 3 players in Media Dream 11. In Arias, Cesar Carrello, who's very, very exciting. But he's in his prime, being paid 4.9 grand a week. And Sebastian Macias, who is being paid 2.5 grand a week, but looks quite good. And isn't actually as exciting as I thought he would be, but okay. But most players are being paid about 4 grand, 5 grand if they're in the Media Dream 11. So I thought the rate we were paying was quite high. Now I look at it and think, actually, no, they're not. But what I'm also noticing is not really anyone that can go down because there's no relegation in this division. So unless something dramatically bad happens, you cannot go down. There's 2 phases. There's the overall league table as well. I'm assuming that there's the league table is the main thing that chooses who goes up and who goes down, while the 2 phases sees what we can do later on. But I'm curious. I don't know what to expect. I think we have to win both phases, at least try and win both phases and win the overall league table to get promoted. I'm assuming you can get promoted and relegated, but yes, that is something we need to work on. But I feel like we need to work on this, and we're going to go for the first team and see what we can do with it. So Mastrolia is the first choice goalkeeper. We do have options, I think, in other players. And I say other options because we do have Mosquera, but he's 36. I don't know if I really want to use him. But again, he's just signed. Both goalkeepers just signed for us. I think because they realized we can now play, they signed for us. We have a 28-year-old right back in Henry Obando. I'm just literally going for the players that I feel like we could use and should be using. Jose Perez is actually not the best defender we have. But this guy's been paid 2.3 grand a week, which is great. And yes, the best person would be this guy, but he's also got critical ligaments damage of 6 to 7 months. So Maximilian Greno is not able to play right now. But in the meantime, we have Freddy Bermudez, who's been paid a grand. Not amazing, but he's been paid a grand. But yeah, I feel like we need to work on a few things here. We got Sebastian Macias, who I'm going to use as the left back, even though they think he's a good left winger. I think left back is the best option, and maybe wing back on attack. He isn't amazing, but we can work with that, and I think we could do bits and pieces with him. We have William Paran. I'm going to use him as a deep line playmaker. I know what some of you are thinking. He's not a deep line playmaker, but I feel like he could do a good job, and he's well-rounded enough for me to utilize that to his ability. He could play further up the pitch, but I feel like, yes, he could be a ball-winning midfielder, but I feel like using a deep line playmaker means that if he loses the ball, he can absolutely cause some damage later on down the line if he needs to get the ball back. We've already talked about Cesar Carrello, but again, he used to be my Mazzala. I could use him in a box-to-box as well, but I think Mazzala for now, if we need to tinker to into a box-to-box, we could. We do have Hector Solano, who could also be a box-to-box and a deep line playmaker, so I think actually swap the 2 around and we'll be fine with this. So let's swap the 2 around now. We've got Mauricio Cortez as a right winger who's going to be inverted winger on support or attack. And he could play both roles quite nicely, actually. I feel like he's very, very versatile and I like him. So whether or not we will do more of it, I don't know. But being paid for but being paid 4.1 grand a week is interesting. We also have Jason Nunes, who I could play him Bada Wing on the right, but I might need to play him in the Bada Wing on the left, even if he's probably not going to be a fan of it. He's explosive, he's experienced, and he's got some pace. He's not terrible. He's 32 though, so maybe we need to move on the older players in the future. Most players got a 2-year deal with us, so it's going to be interesting to see how we can move him on. And as for now, Cesar Arias is going to be our main striker. You can see why I'm going to use him as the main striker. He's a leading player for the top division, so I think we've got some good players here. I really do. But that's the main players I'm going to talk about for now. And I just want to get myself into the game and actually just introduce the team to you guys, because I feel like there's some new things to talk about, like this, the knowledge thing. It's no longer a percentage, it's actually wording. So that's interesting to me. And I feel like we should talk about that more and more in the future. But either way, I'm going to end this here. Hope you guys have enjoyed yourselves. Hope you guys like and share this video. And let's subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a lot. And also, no face packs because it's the beta. And I think the face that we need to not use as many any mods to really help provide any feedback for the beta if something was to go wrong and something is broken. So either way, until next time, goodbye and well, good night.